questions, understand them, memorize them, put them in practice, so that we can do good and progress on our path to evolution. So be it.
Okay.
Charles, do you want me to lead? Or...
Yes, please. So I think just maybe to conclude from the last time, because it was, this 46 was a little bit difficult. Do you share or do I share?
As you wish.
Okay, I'll share then. So we are here in the section of the Spirits book, which is 25, chapter 25, evocation, and subsection evocation of living persons. Hello, Raphael. So this item 46 was that we read quickly last time, was giving us some hints about understanding exactly the difference between somnambulism and mediumship. You see in the question itself, if the spirit of the somnambulist were evoked during magnetic sleep, would it be more lucid than the spirit of someone else? So this means that the somnambulistic state is induced by a magnetizer, which is helping the person to enter in the state of somnambulism. Somnambulism state is when the spirit of the somnambulist gets liberty from the physical body, perceives himself, the spirit himself, what's happening around, and is still linked to his physical body, so able to answer speaking with his physical body, even in trance state. So if we take somnambulism in this definition, it's not mediumship, because mediumship is only happening when there is a third spirit interfering, okay, communicating or whatever. Nevertheless, the spirit of the somnambulist can perceive also other spirits and be advised by them. So this is why sometimes we talk about somnambulistic mediumship. But we should do the same, the difference between this somnambulistic mediumship and the other form of mediumship, like psychophony, for instance. It's not the same. In psychophony, the spirit of the medium himself is, how to say it, less interfering. In other words, the spirit is then using the motor center of the brain of the medium in order to speak or to write or whatsoever. Okay, so you see that it's very close one to the other. A lot of times it's associated, but it is not rigorously the same. Okay. And the second sub-question is the same. Could a somnambulist spirit respond to someone who evoked it from some distant place and at the same time responds verbally to another person? And here the spirits are clearly saying the ability to communicate simultaneously in two different places only belong to spirits who are completely free of the matter. So, in other words, when a somnambulist is, how to say, his spirit is free from his body, he is still linked to the matter. So, as per the spirit answer, he cannot be here, talk as a normal somnambulist phenomenon, and at the same place give answers mediumistically in another group or another place. In other words, to have this faculty of ubiquity, as we tell, to be at several places at the same time, is only for higher evolved spirits, and also when they are free from the matter, which is the some a characteristic of high evolved spirits because they are less and less linked to the matter, at contrary of us, because we are at, how to say, lower evolution level, so we still need to incarnate in order to progress. That the more evolved spirit do not need to reincarnate anymore. Okay? So that was it, Guilherme. Now, if you want to continue from 47.
So I will, but I don't know if you've spoken about it, but
No, we didn't read it.
no, okay. There's another point I would like to bring to that discussion of the previous item. I advocate that phenomena like that should be natural. When we hear or read a magnetizer performing that kind of phenomena, I would refrain to do it. If the phenomena is conducted by our benefactor, a guide, something like that, is a different thing. But if we go to a magnetizer, I want to have that experience. I want to try. I want to know if I can. I totally do not recommend to do it. Okay. You have to remember that today there's a lot of people doing astral trips, things like that. There's a risk. There's a risk. We need to be very careful. All right. Could we change the walking state ideas of someone by acting upon his or her spirit during his sleep? Yes, sometimes. Since in sleep, the spirit is not as strictly tied to the matter, it is more accessible to mental suggestions that can influence its way of ordinarily seeing things. Unfortunately, what nearly always happens is that upon awakening, the corporeal nature dominates it and makes it forget about the good resolution that it may have made. How? I think this topic is very vast, as we could try as incarnated spirits to suggest someone else, or the spirits, our guardian angel or benefactor, could try influence the incarnated spirit. But as we can see, when we return to awakening states, quite often we do not remember anything, or that will not take effect. Is the spirit of a living person free to say or not to say whatever it wants? Charles, do you want me to start share the book myself now?
So if you want, if you prefer, yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
What happened?
Yeah, because then I will
scroll easier. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You just need to find it.
Yeah, it's always hidden in the menu.
Yeah, so I need to just do this. Okay, go back here, share. You probably see my screen now.
I was opening the original because in the Portuguese it is saying mental suggestion, and in French it's written moral suggestions. So just looking to the original if it's moral or mental.
What does it say?
Let me just reach it.
I think moral makes more sense.
285. Now here we are.
what I'll do, I'll continue. And
Yes.
if you find it, let me know. Is the spirit of a living person free to say or not to say whatever it wants?
It is moral. Huh?
Moral. Yeah, makes more sense. It is in possession of its spirit faculties, and therefore its free will. Since it is more discerning, it is more cautious than during the waking state. The waking state. We need to understand that we are spirits, incarnated or not. When we are incarnated, we have like a buffer. And this buffer, that is our material body, our physical body, has less impact in our spirit when we are sleeping. Doesn't mean that we will get access to all information as a free spirit, not at all. But we will be much alike a spirit free from the matter. So, thing is, when we are sleeping and we are detached from the physical body, we may well realize that what we are doing is not correct. We may well realize what will be the best path to follow. But when we return, if I may say like that, sometimes we forget that entirely. Or when we are in the matter, because of our physical senses, we have something pulling us in a different direction. Could we evoke persons and coerce them into stating something they wouldn't rather keep quiet about it? Let me start talking about the question here. Evoking people, persons. Why do we want to do that? Can any of you see any practical sense or any positive outcome we can have evoking an incarnated person? I cannot. So we may have some positive reasons for doing something like that, but I do not. And coerce someone is already bad, in my opinion. Means that you're pushing someone to do what they don't want to do, right? So I would abstain for such a thing. As I said, the spirit has free will. Nevertheless, as a spirit, it might give less importance to certain matters than it is to ordinary state. So its conscience may speak more freely. Moreover, if it does not wish to speak, it can always escape from an uncomfortable situation. By leaving, no one can retain a spirit as one can retain a body. Charles, have you spoken about an incarnated spirit coming to our mediumship meeting?
We mentioned it, that we had some cases and some examples. Huh? Spirits, for instance, in state of coma or similar cases.
But on every case I saw until today, there was to help that particular spirit, that particular person. And it has been conducted by the benefactors. So then we have the certainty that all the precautions to ensure that would be a safe communication were taken on board by the benefactors, by those who organize our meetings. Outside that, I don't even know what kind of impact it may have on the person. Because when we are evoking someone, we are using our magnetism to convince someone to come, maybe even against themselves, to a place Can anyone here predict what consequence could happen to the incarnate person if that happened? I cannot. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. So I totally would refrain to go on that path. If they are in a situation in coma, or they have any particular reason to be in a mediumship meeting or in contact with someone, that will be organized by the spirits who know way better than we do. Anybody that may try to get into that position, saying that I know how to do, I can do, and I would ask to do what? Why? What is the charity behind that exercise? What is the outcome of this exercise? Could the spirit of a living person be constrained by another spirit to appear and speak, as happens with errant spirits? Among the spirits of both the living and the dead, there is only one type of supremacy: moral superiority. And you should understand that a higher order spirit would never, I will read it again, would never support a cowardly indiscretion. It's kind of easy to identify a moral elevated spirit through their actions, through what they say, what they ask, and the examples they are giving us. From time to time, we have spirits pretending to have this moral superiority, but they cannot keep that for too long. Again, what he's saying here is beautiful. Like, our elevated spirit would never put us in a situation that we are not comfortable with. If we are evoked by someone against our will, that may be the case. So careful, very careful. Such abuse of trust would in fact be wrong and would thus not yield a good result, because we cannot wrest a secret from a spirit who wants to keep it, unless it were overcome by a sense of justice and confessed something that under other circumstances it would keep quiet about it. Just a reminder, everyone feel free to jump in and make questions and comments, okay? One particular individual wanted to find out through such a means if one of her relatives had remembered her in his will.
Guilherme.
Yep.
Here, instead of remembered, it's written testament in French. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
If he had done a testament favorable to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit more than remember.
Yeah, well, I think they were trying to be more delicate here, but yes. I will tell you something that we had experienced before. In one of the works we used to do, we had lots of people coming asking for help. And the benefactors and this particular medium were there to assist, to help, to speak, to make suggestions. And one day, one person that was in need of information, if I can say like that, came to that place, and after wait for half an hour, I don't remember anymore, was her turn to speak to and ask for assistance. And she wanted to know if she had rights about her testament. There was a situation, I'm not going to go deeper, but there was exactly that. And that spirit was very polite, but very assertive in his answer. I am not a lawyer. I would suggest you to seek professional support from a lawyer. And that was it. So by the question, we know already what will be the outcome if he's a serious spirit, if he's an elevated spirit. But so many occasions, I'm pretty sure some spirits will jump and start to give his opinion or even try to manipulate the situation. So when we have the opportunity, if we have the opportunity to ask things to the spiritual world, let's be thoughtful about what we want to ask. If it's anything related to the matter, it's already a bad way. Hi, Liz.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, we've been told that there's a law in the universe as well as free will about anticipation. And whatever you ask, whether it's good or bad, not to ever have anticipation. And it's very difficult for humans to do that, you know, because once you've asked something, you are looking for a result. As soon as you start filling in the gaps and the details as to how that request is going to come about, you are anticipating. And what does anticipation do? It negates the whole request in the first place. So it's really, really difficult for humanity to even think about a request without anticipation. The best you can do is actually to imagine celebrating the success, but leave the details to the universe. Never, ever fill in the details. And so that negates, and that is why, you know, in this paragraph, you know, it's saying that, you know, when you're asking something, you're filling in the blanks. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. And it's something we've done a lot of experiments on.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know what has happened on my computer.
Sorry?
No, when you were saying, my computer went a bit crazy and moved from where we were. I'm trying to...
Yeah, you are very far, huh? You are section 3. And we should be section 25.
I also would like to add something which is like coincidental when we were talking about the previous questions about when you're asleep and, you know, you're communicating. I actually slept in late this morning because I was aware that I was receiving information, quite disparate information, but I wrote it down before I got out of bed. One was the fact that I'd left one of my cakes I'd bought in the car and it had fallen down by the side of the seat. So I went and retrieved that this morning. The second was to take my savings out of the bank and bring them home for safety because things are going to happen. So those are things that were quite disparate that I wasn't aware of I was thinking about. But on Monday, I'll do that advice as well. And about spirits leaving when they feel uncomfortable about something. I also had that experience when discussing with my son, you know, how he felt, how he was on his passing. And he was very uncomfortable about that because he wanted to concentrate on being happy on the positive things. And he did want to leave. But the medium brought him back and all was fine and everything. And I was just doing it from a research point of view, and he understood that. So, yeah, that's proof that spirits, if they feel uncomfortable, can, you know, they're quite free to leave if they don't wish to be part of that particular conversation.
Right. Charles. Yeah,
Page 392, William.
Something very weird.
You put your mouse on the page number on the right. and put 392.
Not working.
Strange.
I don't know, something on my computer then. I'm sorry for that. So let me just first do one comment. First part of what you said is, I never found anything mentioned that in the Spiritism. So I will refrain to make a comment about that.
Okay.
Second part, when you said that spirits tell you to bring money, be careful, very careful. This is not what we are familiar as a spirit, elevated spirit giving us counsel. And they do not do such a thing. So
I think it's more like my family in spirit, because they know what I'm going through at the moment, and they know that there have been draconian laws introduced here, and it's affecting all foreigners. It's breaking the constitution, and it's just, you wouldn't believe the kind of things they're coming up with. So it's most probably in this particular situation, it does dovetail in with everything else that's happening around me at the moment.
well, I think we are here. And what you just said, you could arrive to that conclusion by yourself. You would not need a spirit to tell you. And again, my experience with the spiritual world, they would not interfere with such a things. So be careful.
Okay. Thank you.
The spirit responded, yes, my dear little niece, as you shall soon find out. The niece really had been remembered. But I guess here again, Charles, is a different word, right? But
Yes.
a few days later, the relative destroyed the will and was malicious enough to inform his niece about it, although he did not know that he had been evoked. An instinctive feeling had undoubtedly led him to act on the resolution that his spirit had made after the question had been posed. It is pure cowardice to ask the spirit of either a deceased or living person what we would dare not to ask the person face to face. And such cowardice never results in the hoped for compensation. Let's make very clear here. Our contact with the spiritual world is to learn and practice charity, is to help ourselves morally and the others. Never related to matter, financial aspects, material subjects. No. If that is happening, that is something I would urge everyone to be careful. And it's well known as well that many mediums, through the process, through the incarnation, they got lost. And they return in the mediumship meeting saying how bad it was for them when they start to charge for things, when they start to use the mediumship for material aspects of life. So again, careful everyone. Can we evoke a spirit whose body is still in the womb? No. But why would I ask? Why would I want to know about something like that? That would be the first thing that comes to my mind. But the answer is no, because you know that during this phase, the spirit is completely confused. Incarnation only definitively takes place at the moment of a child breathes. However, from the moment of conception, the designated spirit is enveloped in a confusion which increases a birth approach and which erases its self-consciousness. Thus, it cannot respond. But let's assume we have someone here that is very eager to do some experiences. And we know someone that's pregnant. do we have any idea of the impact we may are imposing to the mother and to the fetus if we do something like that? Again, is that to help someone? Is there any kind of charity you need to contact this person, or curiosity? So please, don't try to do anything like that. Liz, is your hand up since the first time, or you raised it again?
No, yeah, I've got another thing to say. Another reason that you cannot access, should you want to, a fetus, is because it is not automatic that a spirit or soul will join a fetus at the moment of conception or even halfway through the pregnancy. The time scale as to when the spirit actually attaches to that physical fetus is quite wide. So if there's no spirit there, there's nobody to communicate with there. It's just material at the, at conception and in the womb for quite a while. It isn't instantaneous.
From where this information is coming from, Liz?
6 density.
And what is that?
These are things we discuss, and these are things that we know is second nature now.
Okay. So it's not spiritism, that, because I could not see that either on the spiritism. Until
well,
today.
it's about spirit.
Okay.
It's about consciousness.
Okay. We need to make a difference between spirit and spiritism, right? Because we have so many layers of knowledge about spirit, and it's not in line with what spiritism advocate. I'm just saying that because I saw we have new people here. I just don't want people to get a bit mix and match. Spirits, we are all human beings, spirits. Spiritism is a particular thing. Hi, Charles.
Yes, Guillaume, I think the answer is already in the remark of Kardec. The spirit which is designated to animate a physical body is linked to this body still since the conception. If there is no spirit linked since the beginning, there is no life, and it makes a kind of a natural abortion. But the spirit, which is otherwise, all the embryogenesis is explained by the link of the spirit which is incarnating. So it is linked since the beginning. And that's why during this complex process and so on, he is in this state of confusion and then cannot answer to an evocation.
Mm-hmm.
And the spirit clearly says no. So don't do that, because at that moment the spirit cannot answer to the evocation.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least all I have written, I have read until today on the spiritism, the spirit is connected to the fetus from the time of conception. The degree of flexibility he or she may have is a different thing. If you are a more elevated spirit, you have more flexibility through the process. And that's all I know. There's another hand. Hi, Osoli.
Hi, Guilherme. Yeah, thank you for when Charles talked about, I think, to Sigismund and Luis, I think it was missionary. I'm sorry, I forgot the name to the book just now. But Sigismund was reincarnated, and of course it was a big, prepare wonderful spirit such to help him, some help us too when we reincarnate. And Sigismund and it had a very, very, very strong confusion. He couldn't, because he couldn't. It's a time to reincarnate. He couldn't, and the time maybe we don't know, but maybe one time, 2 times or more. He knows. He will make a reincarnation, because it wasn't programmed to him. And he had a deep I would say, I forgot the name, perturbation. So it's very, very common to all other spirits. There's a time to reincarnate, because it's always very, very. It's not so easy a new reincarnation to us, to all of us, and because we are very, very afraid to do something wrong, very, very wrong, and have a very, very problem in the reincarnation. This is very normal. Everybody has her the perturbation for reincarnation. So they couldn't answer something evocation. So no, they couldn't. So because yes, I think Charlie said something about, and you too, Guilherme.
Okay, very good. So let's move on.
I don't know if you understood it, because we now today I can't make it quite clear. Sorry.
Right.
I hope you understood that.
Could a deceiving spirit respond in the place of a living person? Certainly. And this frequently happens, especially when the evoker has ulterior motives. And this is not only on this subject here. Anytime we evoke someone, that situation may happen. Moreover, the evocation of a living person is only useful for psychological study. It should not be done if there is no instructive purpose involved. If evocation of errant spirits does not always take hold, to use their own expression, such as even more the case involving incarnated ones, that is when deceiving spirits most often take their places. Well, I think through our studies, we saw that we can be misled by spirits that are not the ones we think they are. But there is one thing here. The medium's book can be used by anyone. The medium's book is not specific for spiritists. It's a book, it's a manual to ensure safety about mediumship practices with the spiritual world. So anyone can buy this book and try to replicate things that are written here. I like to do studies, I like to do research, things like that, but we need to have a moral compass. And sometimes a psychological study does not have a moral compass at all. Those people are not concerned about the spirit, nor the medium, nor the outcome. So we need to be very careful. Because I remember a couple of years back, people trying to find mediums for our research. Let's be careful, okay? Seems to be very nice. I think was one of the main universities here in the UK, I don't remember now which university it was, but it was one well-known university looking for mediums. And why? Look at the spiritist history. How many clever people did so many experiments and how that helped humanity, how that helped the spiritist movement. And do another bunch of psychological studies on something that we don't even know if it's real or not, because we don't know if the person that will be evocated will come. What kind of outcome you're expecting? And one thing is for sure, when we do something, or when we an experience or a question, we know what kind of answer we want to find already. That's human. So we may be leading into a black hole if we decide to do something like that. Are there drawbacks to evoking living persons? It's not, pay attention to this one. It is not always free of danger, but it depends on their conditions. If they are ill, you might increase their misery. Let's assume we have one person in coma, is 50-50, 50% incarnated, 50% already moving to the other side, or is on the way to be discarnating. And because I want to do some stupid questions, I will evoke this person. When I do such a thing, am I interfering with the process? Or am I anticipating the process? Or even if the process was not meant to happen, if I do such evocation, am I pushing that spirit to discarnate? If so, where lies my responsibility? Because it's very nice to do experiments, or because of my curiosity, I want to do A, B, C. It's very nice. What about the consequences that we will be responsible for? I truly think we should not go on that path. When is evoking a living person inappropriated? You should not evoke extremely young children, persons who are gravely ill, or infirm age individuals. In other words, it is inappropriate whenever the body is seriously debilitated. The abrupt suspension of the intellectual faculties during the walking state could also present a danger if the person at the time required all his or her mental agility. Speaking a different language, you may be killing the person. And then who is the responsible for that? You don't want to get that in your account. I can guarantee you. So do not try. Hi, Charles.
Yes, imagine a person driving a car, or a person, a fireman fighting against a fire, and you evoke him.
Mm-hmm.
You may indeed cause accident. That's clear.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Indeed.
But sorry, I don't understand it. How can we invoke someone that is in awake spirit and this will come to you? Shouldn't the spirit be kind of forbidden this to happen because the spirit is awake, conscious in a body?
It all depends on your capacity to evoke someone. If you have let me speak about energy. If your energy is that strong that could impact on his or her energy, he may feel compelled to go away and come back. This is magnetism. We have no notion of how strong our magnetism can act in favor or against someone. So we need to be
Okay.
careful.
All right.
Need to
Okay.
be
So,
careful, you know.
thank you.
For example, people that like rake, you know, there's a trend. A lot of people like rake. They do not recommend you to do rake without the person is aware of it. Because if the person is driving or doing something, he may fall into dizziness or he may collapse during the action. I mean, doing rake to someone that's not physically with you, right? It's the same principle. You're sending a amount of energy to someone. Perhaps the energy at that particular moment make you sleepy. Sleepy enough not to lose your conscience, but good enough to, if you're on a freeway, create an accident, for example. You know, energy. We don't know the extent of what we can do. We need to be careful.
So the people, so mediums are not aware how strong they magnetize, how
Human
strong the
beings.
energy. Human beings are okay.
Human beings. For example, when you are a person, a medium that used to do passes, do healing. Sometimes when you're doing healing, with all your best intentions, you're giving so much energy that instead of helping the person, you are making the person a bit sick or drowsy or even in pain. It can happen, you know.
Okay.
When you're doing a healing in someone, you can energize the person, you can make the person feel dizzy, you can make the person feel sleepy, and sometimes the person does that for years, and it still happens. So we need to be careful in what we are pretending to do. We need to ensure ascertain that the conditions of what we're doing is safe for the person we are doing, and not everyone is thorough enough about that.
Interesting point. Thank you.
Hi, Charles.
Yes, just a small remark. When the Olympic Games stopped recently and the Paralympics are starting, and here we can see this type of effect when you have, what to say, a sportsman or a player in a football game or whatever. You have the supporters. They are supporting, but without willing, they are sending energy in order to help and to encourage the players. And it is very well known that the supporting team has a key influence on the result of the game or whatever. But you can also imagine the opposite. You can imagine some people who are saying, this team has this good player, so they are working hiddenly in order to evoking the spirit of that player, so that player gets diminished in his abilities, in his presence on the field. So it's always, mediumship works both ways, and that's why we should use it exclusively, either for learning or for charity or for good, nothing else.
Everything in nature is neutral. Electricity is neutral. Atomic energy is neutral. Magnetism is neutral. Mediumship is neutral. It's the will behind those that will define if what we are trying to do is positive or not.
Thank you.
Hi, Ursuli.
That you said, Guilherme, about Reiki, you mean about healing too? Because I know I don't like people come, I would like to heal in you. I would like, oh, I don't like it. I don't know why, but I don't like it because if we read a book about the healing, it's a prepare. We must prepare us. We can't only because I can really. We can pray. We can pray to them. Person needs help. We don't need healing everybody all the time. That I don't accept that. And Reiki, I don't know so much, so I can't talk about. But I think it's about some kind of healing, but I don't know. But I know healing. I work with healing, but so not. Oh, only when we had our group, it was not online. So, and I don't use it. I think it's very, very serious for me about the healing.
Let me just throw a spanner
Thank
on
you.
the thoughts. I'm using your thoughts so I can throw a spanner on the group. Is the healing equal from every medium? Just a minute.
I was wanting to comment.
But let me do my part and then I'll come to you, please. Just a minute. Is the healing the same from every medium? Because the Spirit Center, they used to say, no, you can go everywhere and it's exactly the same. Is it the same? No, it's not.
It's not.
Why is not? If I'm smoking,
exact.
I have something that's not ideal. If I'm drinking, mainly in SS, I have something that's not ideal. If my moral compass is not positive, but when I'm going to the Spirit Center, I'm there to give healing, it's not good either. So if I have two persons doing their action, one does everything right and the other one doesn't, do you think it's the same? No, it's not. So we also need to be careful with that. All right? So hi, Liz. Sorry for that. Go on.
Yeah, I was just wanting to say about thought. Thought is very powerful and it's never extinguished in the universe. And as more subtle form, as you were talking about, thoughts are electromagnetism, they're energy. And as Charles has said, you think of someone and you're evoking them anyway. So it's a form of telepathy. Many people, can recall times when, they thought of somebody and then the phone rings and that person is on the end of the line, or, we have that, very, very close connection. So we have to be careful even when we think of people, because that is evoking people, and that is the closeness. Now, it says in, the bit here on number 50, that this guy picked up that he was evoked and then went and changed his will. Well, you see, he was aware of what was going on, and then changed it to the opposite of what his niece wanted. So people can pick up on this. It's very subtle, very sublime, but that's how everything is connected.
You gave a very good example about thoughts, right? If only thinking about someone, sometimes we get connected and the person call you back, right? Imagine if I do know how to use magnetism, how to use my will to direct my energy to my magnetism to do something, what we can achieve with that. But as I said again, all those things are neutral. It depends on the people behind those energy or those actions. But should we try? And I can tell you, I did a lot of experiment until today. And when I spoke about Hake, I did Hake because I was doing a work that requires me to learn about all these things. So we need to be careful. We need to be careful. Sometimes we only know what we think we know, but we know nothing. And sometimes we only want to know what is interesting to us, what says something to us. And sometimes we don't even open our spectrum to other possibilities that would impact in what we want to do. During evocation, what time is it? Oh, 3 minutes to go, so I'll stop here. So it'll be 55. Let me just just a minute, save. Okay, save. So unfortunately our time is gone too quickly, and I'll do a quick prayer to finish our encounter. Master Jesus, Father, thou art in heaven, we would like to thank you all for the possibility of being here together and trying to understand a bit better mediumship and its possibilities. That you all could have a wonderful weekend in peace, in harmony. That our week that's about to start would follow the same vibrations we felt in our encounter today. Be with us, Lord, today and always. So be it. So everyone, see you next weekend.
Ilan, can you leave the room open, please? Because at 11:30 we're gonna do the.
You log in as my account, or do I need to put you as a co-host?
You need to put me as a co-host.
Okay. Did you see the message I sent to you?
I did.
Okay, I need to go before it's late.
Okay. All right.
Otherwise, I'll be with you in the next meeting, but discarnated.
No worries. I will just stay here for the others that will join at 11:30 for the vibration that we do.
Sure. See you guys.
Thank you, Gilad.
So, do you want me to stop the transmission on YouTube?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I need to see how to do that. Good. Let me try. I'm trying.